Good morning, everyone from Maui. Good afternoon, wherever you're watching, especially if you're in Miami. My name is Giuliano, and I'm very excited to share some news today, which for many of you isn't very new, but for some of you it will be. I'm here joined with my dear friend, my sister, and mentor of almost 10 years, Christelle Chopard, born in a small town in Switzerland and traveling the world, really searching for a deeper meaning in life. And grateful for your guidance in all these years. I can see how much I've grown since I began training with you and learning about your teachings, the methodology that you created. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, actually, it's interesting because I began 30 years ago to learn about holistic healing and self-development, and all was based on the 5 elements already. Coming from a little village in nature, at 7 years old, I learned to read the cloud with my grandma. And then I noticed I really couldn't fit into the normal standard life system in Switzerland, even that it's all beautiful and perfect. and so, and I also noticed I had a gift, but I didn't know how to use it. I felt more I was suffering from the gift rather than being able to do something with it. So that's why I began to learn the Greenberg method. I learned to work on the 5 bodies, healing the bodies, and balancing actually those inner voices within us. And then it became my profession. And at around 23, I began to travel the world really working on this gift, like already the gift of healing and the gift of guiding people. And then through all those years, like living in Asia, living in Australia, living all through South America, I learned with so many different masters and teachers. You know, learning about the medicine wheel with some shamans, learning about the Kala chakra with some Buddhist teachers. And then after a while, I was just noticing that they were all telling the same thing in different words. So it came the point like I was feeling that all those ancestral wisdom could actually be serving us also in a practical way in our life, in our daily life. And so that's why I began to create that methodology. And actually, I don't feel really I did it. I feel like I was chosen to do it somehow, you know, and like I couldn't go against it. I just had to do it. So that's how it came out. And then I came to the US for a few years, and now I'm nomad again, which is really a good harmony for me because the fact to balance the life in the system and also the life into our all flow, like honoring our connections. And it's really like about the frequency we are in. So it's like the here, the now, and the frequency. So that's really what we work on when we work on this methodology. And you could begin to discover that at your initiation when you were trusting this inner voice in you telling you, let's try something. So share a little bit also with us. How was it for you when you were like listening to that voice saying, okay, maybe it's my time. I don't know why, but I feel it's my time to also integrate some more maybe ancestral tools and methodologies that resonates more with human values rather than with the system, but there is still a system somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
it would be nice to
definitely.
also hear how you came in. I know the story, but it would be nice to hear it again.
And it's one of my favorite stories to share. Um, it was about little over 10 years ago. I was in high school. I remember some friend of mine had told me one of his friend tried meditating and was in his room and closed his eyes and had this profound experience, felt so much peace, saw all these lights, all these colors. And later that night, I went into my room. I closed the door. I told my parents, don't bother me. I told my sister, um, go watch a TV show or something. I want some privacy. And I closed my eyes and I had so much expectation waiting to receive that fully. And I sat for a couple minutes. 3 minutes passed by, 5 minutes passed by, 10 minutes passed by, and nothing happened. Nothing, right? And I thought maybe meditating is not for me. Maybe for some people it is, but there was nothing there for me to receive. So I just kind of forgot about it. And then a few years later in college, I started to be really curious. to feel that there's really something more in life than I could see, than just the daily routine of going into a career, starting a family, having a job, etc. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I felt that with all that, there could be something more texture, more quality, more essence. And I didn't fully discover what it was until I started to explore spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one morning I was sitting at the breakfast table and I see a flyer that catch my eye. And on the flyer was your photo. And I recognized you as the family healer of a friend of mine. And it was a training for a mentorship that you were offering. And every topic that you were offering training in was something I was curious to learn about. So I knew that I wanted to pursue that and have some kind of base to begin supporting myself and support other people because I felt that was my gift. But I was in college studying mechanical engineering with really not much free time even for work. So I didn't know how I was going to make it financially. And I remember you told me to go for it and essentially don't let my present experience dictate any opportunity that could fall into my lap in the future and just to be open. So as difficult as it was, I trusted your words because I really valued everything that you had experienced and continue to experience in your life. And a few weeks later, I met a friend of a friend who invited me to work with him in his company part time, performing in these 10-foot tall robot suits in nightclubs all over South Beach. And I was never really somebody in the center of attention, but to have that experience was a way for me to explore a little bit another aspect of myself and also be able to generate the income for the training. So I started the training and my life began all over again. I got to really receive practical tools to explore where I am, explore where I want to go, to be able to clarify what are these visions, what are these dreams that I have in my life, and how can I, instead of just daydream about these things, how can I live them? How can I bring them here into the physical realm in a very practical way, in a very simple
Mm-hmm.
way, in a very clear way? And following the guidance, following the teachings for almost 10 years now, I can see how much I have polished myself, how many gifts and abilities I have awakened and I have learned to integrate into my daily life. And
So you
just,
really notice like the integration between the inner being and the external manifestation, how those
yeah,
tools really support that. We have an inspiration, we have an intention, we have something that feels right, but sometimes we don't really see how we can live from that and how we can relate from that space with the external environment we live in and the people we live in. And somehow you could really manifest that and actually even manifest a career and becoming also
absolutely.
an entrepreneur using those tools.
Hmm. Absolutely.
So that's nice to see this openness, how this ancestral wisdom of the 5 elements and how these ancestral tools actually combine with some innovative coaching modalities and the meditation serve the purpose of bridging inner and outer world, and also outer to the inner world. It's like we always speak about polarities, but I also like to see the rainbow in between, where we can have and manifest the life that really resonates for us. And from there, we know it also resonates and uplifts the lives of others around us. So now we are going to work together.
Hmm. Hmm. And another
And
level.
yes, I'm really pleased to notice now, to see you awakening, to see you have manifested a lot with
Mm.
that process. You have also awakened more and more of your own personal gift, which is always important, and you use the tools of the Dharma method to help others also awaken more their gift and manifest them. You really work already very well in balance with both. So now we are combining and we are working together for this 28 days meditation. So it's really like the inspiration for the people to see the combination of the yin and the yang a little bit, the feminine and masculine energy, and to co-create, to combine, so that we can support the people along this 28 days journey.
So what kind of meditation are we going to be practicing in these 28 days? Because there's so much out there, we can get kind of lost.
So first is like 28 days because we work on the moon cycle. We honor the moon cycles. When we see in many aspects in life, the moons affect even like the tides in the ocean. People who choose to cut their hair at certain period, it's also with the moon cycle, depending on the purpose. So that meditation, the vortex of energy, is going to be aligned with those 28-day cycles, honoring the moon cycle. So people will learn like one form for each of the moon cycle. We begin with the waning moon, and it's a meditation where there is gentle, subtle movement to work on the chi, to work on the vital energy, so we can activate the chi within us and also cleanse any energy or any thoughts or any toxins from the body. So that's why we begin really on the waning moon. The forms of that active meditation is like more passive than more active, and we end up just seated and integrating it. Each step of the meditation work on balancing all those 7 tonalities in us. So it's observing that we have different voices inside of us, you know, like sometimes the mind wants to be somewhere, but the heart wants to be somewhere else, but we still need to survive. So we have this surviving voice that is like calling us to go somewhere else. So through that meditation, we learn to sync and to balance those 7 tonalities in alignment with our intention. So the first, when we work on the waning moon, we begin on the 26th of May for this series. And it's opening and cleansing any also core beliefs we may have or repressed emotion that needs to be cleansed in order to create space for the renewal. So that meditation, we also will include the mapping. And the mapping is what makes sure that we can go from here to there, but it's not always physically. We really consider the here, the now, and the frequency we are at. So when we speak about from here to there, it's more like which frequency where you want to be and attract whatever you feel like you want to attract into your life, and also what you feel like you want to uplift and manifest. So when we tune and balance with that frequency, clearing the space from any toxins or core beliefs, we activate that field, and then the manifestation happens with much more synchronicities, as you could observe. You also told me the other day about certain spontaneity and synchronicities into your life. And sometimes we think, yeah, we just let go and it happens. Sometimes it does, but it's when you really tune in the intention and align it into the frequency of your emotional body, your way of thinking, your actions, from there, the attraction, the connections manifest with like the law of attraction. It's just like we are in that field. It's like the radio program, you know, we are like balancing to be in the right tonalities in our life. And then when we walk along the journey, we see those different attractions. Mm-hmm. So that's the flow we will be doing, and we are going to guide it together. So sometimes I do the guidance, and then you will also show the form, because you remember very well the form of it too. Mm-hmm. So Giuliano, how also was your experience now that we begin to add into the program? We also add now the essential oils of the 5 elements, but we also add the green. It's a like new addition to the program. So how has been your first experience of that green that we are adding now, like a special addition?
Do you have a bottle with you so they can see what we're talking about?
Yes, this one is a big one. It's the ultimate elixir.
Yeah, it's the ultimate elixir. I gave like an honest review. At this point, you know, I come from a medical background. My father's a physician, mm-hmm. My mother's a dietitian. So I'm very blessed in the way that I've grown up eating and living very healthy. So in college is really when I took that into my own hands, begin to explore different superfoods, different alternatives, and it just became the core of my diet. So recently, you had given me a 10-day supply of the ultimate elixir after telling me your experience with it. And I knew somebody like yourself that has had so many experiences and has
Mm-hmm.
been studying nutrition long before it was cool to post about it social media.
Yes.
Um, it gave more weight. So I tried for those 10 days,
Mm-hmm.
and the experience was really, um, it was notable. I have tried so many green powders at this time, and many of them have been very good. And this is definitely one of the best ones that I've tried. I feel within a few moments more energy physically, more clarity mentally. I feel stronger, I feel sharper, and feeling this energy carrying with me throughout most of the rest of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And the effects of that compounding with every day to commit to all of those 10 days, just to pour a couple scoops in some warm water, mix it up, and drink it down, and feeling how my body was actually responding very well to this.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you
That's
for that
wonderful
experience.
to add it then in the program.
Definitely, definitely, because we work so much in the inner world and the energetic
Mm-hmm.
field of meditation, and even working with the external reality, how the vortex of energy meditation supports us to really bring that intention, that frequency around us in a very
Yeah.
practical way. It's nice to have a little extra, something fun, to have that green elixir 30-day supply for those 28
Yes.
days, for sure.
So, and we will have also, including in the program, we have the book that everybody will receive the book. You can see also the drawing that we have, that actually I don't have it right here, but it's like, it's about centering and balancing all the field of energy around us. And everybody get also a journal.
Mm-hmm.
So into the journal, you will learn to use the maps. It's like you will learn to fill up your own map to see how you are into your inner world and how you can manifest that around you into your external world, into your relationships, into your everyday life. So really the idea for you is to learn, to practice your own meditation, and to write down all what you learn, you observe, so that it's really a journey of self-discovery along the process. So I was also actually speaking with someone about those 5 elements, and they learned so many information about the 5 elements, but then they're like, what can I do with all that? So what we will do here is like, you will observe what are your 5 elements. How is your physical body? How is your emotional body? How is your actions, and what are your motivations? So it's like somehow, and also what's going on into your mind, into your own thoughts. So you will be exploring, is like, is learning about you, who are you, how are the 5 elements like into your own personal life, and how can you embody them, and how can you create your own reality honoring those ancestral wisdom and actually those natural cycle, because we are part of nature. So many people sometimes we live against the moon cycle, we live against the current of life. Construction sometimes are against the law of nature. And then people wonder, why do I feel so bad and out of track? And the more you tune into practicing like those synchronicities, I mean, those alignments, and you really honor the law of nature, even if you live in a world that is not always honoring so much the law of nature, but if you allow them, if you active them, it can lead you to some places like where we see where Giuliano is right now. Just in
Oh,
those
guaranteed.
places where suddenly it feels natural, even sometimes where it doesn't look natural, but it does feel right. It does feel like you are in sync with your inner nature, because you balance with the natural cycle around you. So that's really a high purpose also, like to support the people along their journey and observe, like, what is my natural self, and how can I act, and how can I work, and how can I relate, honoring my true nature and also the nature of those around us.